I was first diagnosed with depression when I was 12. I went in to a psychiatrist with my mom and dad, and the psychiatrist had me move around things in the room. And they asked my mom if I counted things, if I counted tiles. And looking back, that was kind of a really silly thing to ask. I think that's kind of, how would you know that someone has depression from something like that? But it was clear that there was something wrong, because every single day I would cry, and I wasn't like most of the other kids. I do suffer with anxiety as well, but depression has always been a part of my life. But after being put on medication when I was 12, I was on it for about 3 months, and that was the first time that I had ever felt suicidal. I went up to my mom with a knife and I said that I was going to kill myself. And so my mom took me off of it, and I acted like a zombie when I was on the medicine. So I didn't take medication anymore for depression. And in fact, at the time, I swept my depression under the rug and acted as if it didn't exist. I didn't have depression, and I just moved on with my life. There was obviously still something wrong, but I just didn't acknowledge it. And so, that being said, someone that suffers with depression, clinical depression, it's something that never goes away. You always have it, and sometimes it comes in spurts. But there's always, I describe it as a dark cloud that is always around me. And sometimes I can control it. But moving on to college, that was the first time that I truly felt like I was alone. I wasn't with my family, and I was doing everything independently. Living somewhere with people I didn't know, and having to force myself to make my own schedule and put myself out there and buying my own groceries. Now, like I said, I've had many times where I have suffered harder than others, but when I was the lowest was the fall of 2015, particularly around November. And the way that I can describe this kind of state that I had is, it wasn't a sadness or just the fact of not wanting to do things that I loved in the past. It was that semester, because I was in college at the time, I would go to class and I would go to Model European Union, which was the only thing that I really was doing, and I would go to work. And many times I didn't go to class because all I wanted to do was be in my room and do nothing. I literally did nothing. I didn't want to do anything. I felt like nothing mattered, there was no point in life, that everything was just like this neutral realm in which there was no meaning. And it got to the point where my dreams, because I have very vivid dreams at night, every single night, doesn't matter if I take a nap or if I just going to sleep normally, I have extremely vivid dreams that feel like reality, and those dreams started to feel more real than reality. And so my lowest moment, because at the time I was seeking help, I was doing counseling at my college, group counseling, and just seeing the psychologist on campus. I never planned out committing suicide, but I would think all the time, oh, well, why don't I just die? What if I just keep on driving and I just hit into something and then I just die? What if I just fade away? There's no reason to live. There's no point to anything. And I was on the phone with my mom, talking to her, and she was wondering what was wrong, and I was telling my parents that I felt depressed, and they were like, no, you're not depressed, and they just denied it. And on the phone with my mom, I had a panic attack to the point that I couldn't even speak to her. It was like I blacked out. And so she came and picked me up, and I went to my grandma's house. And that's when I really realized I needed to get help. And I needed to acknowledge the fact that I had depression. And so I started seeing a therapist. And that helped for a while. The thing that helped me the most was realizing that my friends and family would miss me. And something that also woke me up to that was the fact that when I told my professors why I hadn't been in class, and why, I had skipped different projects or tests that I needed to do, all of them were just so nice. And they had no idea. Because people in class didn't know. I remember my international relations class. When I went to class, people just thought, oh yeah, she's just this girl that knows a lot about international relations. She's the model European Union girl. She's the model UN girl. But they didn't know that I was struggling. And my friends, some of my close friends, helped me during that time. I remember talking to my friend Ruth about it, and my parents were supportive, and my stepmom. But yeah. It's something that hasn't ever gone away, and I choose not to use medication for it. And so I do have times where I feel very low. Luckily, I haven't felt the way I did that fall. But for anyone that is suffering with depression or knows someone who or is close to someone that has depression, just know that there are people out there that are in the same situation or similar situations, and that your life matters. No matter how low you get, your life matters. And even if you feel like you don't love yourself at times, or things, for me it was more of a things didn't have meaning. They do. They have meaning. You're meant to live.